Blake, 17.
Caden Gamble, 18.
Sierra Smith, 17.
Today, I'm going to be talking about why offshore drilling rigs should stay. The United States federal government should continue to allow the development of offshore drilling because it contributes to the country's energy security, project jobs, and ensures the transition to renewable sources of energy. Although environmental issues are a big problem, the federal government's ban on offshore drilling can cause economic instability and increased dependence on foreign oil supplies. First, offshore drilling contributes to the United States energy security. A major portion of the country's oil supply originates from offshore wells, especially in the Gulf of Mexico. Therefore, the development of offshore wells contributes to the country's energy security. Time magazines suggest that the ban on offshore drilling can undermine the United States' independence and security because of the country's dependence on imported oil. Second, it provides employment and creates economic benefits. For instance, a study indicates that oil and gas development in the Gulf of Mexico created around 345,000 jobs and added $28.7 billion to the American economy in 2019. Moreover, modeling of a ban on new oil and gas drilling projects indicated that potential for dramatic job loss and reduced gross domestic product if oil and gas output fell precipitously without new wells. Further, the shift to renewable sources of energy takes some time. For instance, renewable sources of energy like wind and solar have been on the rise. However, oil and gas have been essential in providing energy for transportation, aviation, and other critical activities. Therefore, stopping oil and gas drilling activities abruptly before renewable sources of energy have reached a level to support the country's demand for energy may lead to an energy shortage. Moreover, if the United States stops offshore drilling and the world continues to demand oil at a high rate, the environmental risk can rise in other countries due to their lower environmental regulations. Thus, continuing to produce energy under stricter United States environmental regulations can lower the environmental risk. In conclusion, the United States should continue to allow offshore drilling. This activity is essential to security of the economy of the United States. It can also aid in the transition to clean energy instead of banning offshore drilling completely. The United States government should work on better environmental regulations. This can ensure a smooth transition to clean energy. Is there any questions? Yes.
Why do you want to promote offshore drilling when it's killing the animals in the ocean?
Why do I want to promote offshore drilling? I want to do it because if we didn't do it, then we'd have to import oil from other countries, which would cost way too much for the United States when we're already in a lot amount of debt. Yeah.
Does it support jobs and business in the area?
Does it support jobs and business in the areas? It does support jobs in the area. It does support jobs, but in the area, you might have to travel into the water for this. But it does create around 345,000 jobs for people that are looking. Yes.
How much money does offshore drilling bring into our economy?
How much offshore money does drilling bring into the economy? It brings around 28.7 billion to the American economy in 2019. Yes.
If I can't swim, can I still do offshore drilling or onshore drilling?
If you can't swim, can you still do offshore drilling? Yes, you can still do that because they bring you out on helicopters or boats, and if you are doing it on land, you don't need to be able to swim because you can drive there. Is there any more questions? No. Okay.
Blake 17. Joey 18.
Sierra 17.